Hello there guys. In this video I'm going to be building this 1/35th scale Meng Type 82 Kubelwagen. I feel like Meng have been quite smart with their releases of this kit, because of course the Kubelwagen is a fairly well trodden subject, but what they've done is they've produced a fantastic tooling, really detailed, and they've produced some very interesting versions too. So this version of course is the North Africa version, but they've also produced this version here for the Eastern Front, which is just ever so slightly different. We have the side windows and the hood that comes up, and a slightly different arrangement for the jerry cans. We also have this rather unusual mock tank version with a turret on top, which was used to train German crews earlier in the war. Although it should be noted that this doesn't include the fake sponsons which were added to some of these vehicles to make them look a bit more like tanks. In fact, James from LPJ Models did a fantastic build of a kit like this, including some 3D printed sponsons recently, and I'd thoroughly recommend that you check that out if you haven't seen it. Also coming up in the same vein is this half-track version of the Kubelwagen, featuring the base kit, but instead of the wheels we get some 3D printed skis for the front wheels and some tracks for the rear. I really like it when manufacturers do this, when they take a sort of a base model and they give us all the adaptations and different versions of something that came out. It's nice to see some slightly different subjects here. In fact, there are quite a few more versions mentioned on the Wikipedia page for the Kubelwagen, so who knows, maybe Meng will have something else for us in the future. The Kubelwagen itself, of course, was widely used in World War II by the Germans, with approximately 50,000 being produced, and 2,500 more were produced for the British Army in 1945, after the end of the war. Anyway, back to the kit, and both the box and the manual have everything you would expect from a 2024 tooling. The instructions being very clean and clear, and the tooling itself being really sensibly broken down. As you can see, the floor pan is just a single piece, with detail on both sides, and no ejector pin marks there either. Although some of these parts look quite small, the connection points are really sturdy, and there's never really any doubt about which way in a piece goes, or whether or not it's quite into place, or whether it's securely fitted or not. This was actually one of the few times that I followed the instructions from beginning to end without skipping around, at least for the most part. That said, these wooden sort of floor mat pieces I did leave off until later, because of course I wanted to paint the metal floor of the vehicle first. I also left the doors off at this stage because I hadn't decided whether or not I wanted them posed open or closed. We don't get an engine in this kit, so although there's a small amount of detail on the inside of that engine compartment, you will have to add your own engine. The seats have got that nice sort of stretched canvas look on the edges of them there. And although the metal frame for the roof looks a bit flimsy, it's held into place nicely when you get the actual canvas piece there. Note that we don't have an option of closing the hood on this one, we have to have it in the retracted position. I found it best to leave this rifle rack off for now, because the included 4 rifles have to be added to this from below. And you can see the sort of oval shapes on the floor there where the butt of those rifles stands. There did seem to be a slight inconsistency here between the instructions and reality. If we look here at the side front of the vehicle, We've very clearly got 4 attachment points marked out. However, if we look at the kit itself, we only have 3. Luckily for us, however, that part marked C11 there is optional, so with no attachment point for it, I left it off. The jerry cans are quite cleverly designed, where the 2 halves go together and then the handle is part of the rack. That does mean, of course, that you have to really have the jerry cans in the rack, unless you want to scratch build your own empty rack. And after a leisurely couple of hours building, here are all my parts ready for primer. The tyres supplied are rubber, so I simply added the wheel hubs and painted them all together. The rubber always looks better when it's painted, I think. The instructions give us 3 desert schemes. The AK paint references here, MC225, is German sand beige, so there's no reference here to actual RAL numbers. But essentially the Germans used 2 different schemes in the desert. The early scheme was RAL 8000, which is yellow-brown, with a 1/3 covering of RAL 7008, grey-green, which was often applied over the top of the original Dunkelgrau, dark grey, that the vehicles wore when they came from Europe. However, I have done vehicles in that scheme before, including my Panzer II, so I went for the later desert scheme, which is RAL 8020, brown, with a camouflage colour of RAL 7027, grey. And again, the grey would be approximately 1/3 of the overall colour. Here is the vehicle with that base coat from AK Real Colours, RAL 8020 brown. And as you can see, depending on how thick the paint is and the angle that you look at it, it seems to be anywhere from sort of brown to pink to yellow. It's actually not far that removed in some places from the British pink ZI. You can see there on the interior in particular, I used a base coat of XF69 as a sort of pre-shade, and I went particularly lightly over that to try and keep some of that shadow work in there. You can also see that although I painted everything at the same time with the same paint, the doors seem to have come out slightly pinker than the vehicle itself. I then went back and added the AK Real Colour 7027, which is the grey colour. That actually stands out here on camera quite a lot more than it does in real life. I didn't follow any particular scheme when I did this, I simply added what I thought was a sensible amount of grey in some sensible places. I used Vallejo model colour khaki to paint the canvas for the seats. I went for a combination of grey and desert colour jerry cans. And I airbrushed XF49 khaki onto the canvas for the roof. A small amount of detail painting with Vallejo model colours, and the majority of the model was complete. There are not many decals, so some selective application of VMS gloss varnish provided a base for those. And once they were dry, the overall kit was given a coat of VMS matte varnish. Then it was time for some dust weathering, which I find one of the hardest effects to do. In this case I decided to do some oil paint weathering for the dust effects, but before doing that I decided to add a dark pin wash to try to avoid just washing out all of the detail with the dust. So this is sepia oil paint thinned with odourless thinner, and as you can see I started with a pin wash, but very quickly I moved to giving the entire vehicle a liberal coat of this oil paint. I tried not to let it pull too much, but at the same time I didn't mind if there was a sort of a dirty effect there, because it will be toned down by the dust. One thing I almost forgot was to do some chipping. I don't like to do heavy chipping on my vehicles, but I think a little bit here and there breaks up the surface. So this is Vallejo Camouflage Black Brown, dabbed on very lightly with a piece of kitchen sponge. And I've tried to keep this to the mud guards, the door areas, some of the places where wear and damage might occur. For the dust effects, I took light mud and neutral grey, again from Abteilung 502. I applied them as small dots on the surface of the vehicle, and then tried to gently streak them down the vehicle with a brush dampened in odourless thinner. As always with the oil paints, you can add or remove the effect quite easily. I wanted this to be a bit more heavy than a normal dot filter because of course I do want the visible dust over the top. And I always find it best to do one side of the vehicle first, because then you can flip over and look at the other side and compare the effects quite easily. The sides are quite easy to apply this effect on because they're vertical, and the rear very similarly as well. The front is a bit more difficult because it's flatter and that spare wheel is in the way. And then for the mud guards, I thinned the mud oil paint slightly more and just painted it directly on top of them. I left the wheels until last, and then thinned the mud oil paint a bit more and applied a liberal coat around the tyres and the hubs. And if you got too much on there, you can always take a bit off again with a cotton bud or a brush. It's also possible to do almost like a dry brushing with the oil paint, where you put a tiny amount of paint on the brush and, as the name suggests, just lightly drag it across the raised detail, particularly on the side of the vehicle here, those strengthening bars in the doors, and it just acts a bit like a highlight. Because it's the same colour as the dust, it works quite well. And I did this on the canvas at the back and the doors and the jerry cans and any other raised points around the vehicle. That includes the seats on the interior and on the wooden boards in the footwells on the interior as well. Because of course we don't want a vehicle that's really dusty on the outside and pristine on the inside. And once I was happy with that, my Kubelwagen was complete. There we go guys, that was my build of the brand new 1/35th scale Kubelwagen. As I said in the video, this was a really fun build, really easy to put together. A great level of detail and fit, and actually I didn't mention it before, but a really good price as well. This is comparable to the older Tamiya Kubelwagen in terms of price, and in fact sometimes you can get it cheaper as well. So well worth the money. This was really a single day build, plus a couple of days for painting and then another day or so for the weathering. So quite a quick project and something nice for me to get on with while I'm waiting for my bigger projects to have the glue dry or the paint dry and so on. Talking of those bigger projects, I am slowly finishing those off. Here is a small, not very interesting preview of my progress on the Prince of Wales. The camouflage paint is coming out really well. It's just that as I'm painting it, I'm covering it up so you can see less and less the more I do. But that should be the next big project that I complete. In the meantime, I would like to say thank you to all of you for watching, and special thanks to my Patreon supporters and YouTube members, whose ongoing support is hugely appreciated. Thank you very much, guys. It is really very kind of you indeed. I will be back with a short video next week, and until then, thank you again for watching and have fun modelling.